Isaiah's journey brought him next to the kingdom of Babylon, a powerful and wealthy city known for its towering walls and brilliant culture. Babylon was a place of ambition and achievement, but Isaiah could feel an unease in its streets. The people of Babylon were filled with pride, believing their kingdom was untouchable. They had forgotten about humility and turned their backs on the true values that build a lasting kingdom. As Isaiah entered the city gates, he looked around and saw a nation blinded by power. He spoke to the people in the marketplace, his voice carrying above the noise. "People of Babylon, you have built towers that touch the sky, but your hearts are far from what matters. Your pride will be your downfall if you do not find humility and kindness again." The people turned to him with skeptical eyes, some laughing, others curious. A few paused, feeling a pang of understanding but unsure if they could change. Isaiah left them with a heavy heart, knowing that even the mightiest kingdoms could crumble without a foundation of compassion. Isaiah then found himself in a smaller town named Ashdod. It was not as grand as the cities he had visited before, but it had its own strengths. The people of Ashdod were hardworking, and their lives were simple. But Isaiah saw something unsettling. They had become consumed with their struggles, and fear had taken over their hearts. The people of Ashdod were losing hope, and Isaiah knew he needed to remind them of their worth. He gathered the townsfolk in the town square and spoke gently. "Ashdod, do not let fear rule your hearts. You are stronger than you think. Each of you has a light that can shine if you remember to lift one another up." A few in the crowd started nodding, others whispered to one another, and slowly, a glimmer of hope returned to their eyes. Isaiah left Ashdod with a small smile, knowing that a seed of strength had been planted in the people's hearts. Isaiah's path took him next to Edom, a kingdom proud of its lineage and traditions. The people of Edom had a strong sense of identity, but with it came resentment and a hardness toward others. They viewed outsiders as threats and held grudges that went back generations. Isaiah felt the weight of bitterness in Edom and knew that it was holding the people back from a better future. He gathered the elders of Edom and spoke earnestly. "Edom, do not let anger and resentment shape your future. A heart filled with bitterness cannot find peace. Forgiveness is a strength, not a weakness. Embrace it, and you will find joy beyond what you have known." Some elders looked away, unwilling to let go of their pride, while others looked thoughtful. Isaiah prayed that the people of Edom would find the courage to release their past pains and find healing in forgiveness. Isaiah continued his journey and arrived in the land of Cush, a beautiful kingdom known for its rich land and strong warriors. The people of Cush were brave, yet Isaiah sensed that they had grown tired. Life's struggles had worn them down, and they were losing sight of their purpose. Isaiah knew he needed to give them a message of hope that would reignite their spirits. Standing before the people of Cush, he declared, "You are a strong people, but strength without purpose fades. Remember what you are fighting for. Seek wisdom, and your strength will have meaning." The warriors of Cush stood tall, their eyes lighting up with renewed resolve. Isaiah saw the people nodding, feeling empowered by his words. He left Cush with a sense of satisfaction, knowing they would carry his message with pride and purpose. Finally, Isaiah found himself in Jerusalem again. The city looked the same, but Isaiah knew the people were weary. They had heard his words before, but life's hardships had worn them down, and hope was becoming a distant memory. Isaiah's heart ached for Jerusalem, the city that was meant to be a beacon of light for all nations. He knew he had to speak to them once more, louder and with more urgency than ever. With a heavy but hopeful heart, Isaiah stood in the temple courtyard and raised his voice. "Jerusalem, beloved city, do not let your light fade. You were chosen to be a place of hope, a city of peace. Return to the path of kindness, of justice, of faith." Some people in the crowd wept, realizing how far they had strayed. Others looked away, unsure if they could change. But a few, just a few, began to feel the spark of hope reignite within them. Isaiah spent the following days speaking to anyone who would listen, urging them to restore their faith, to care for one another, and to believe in something greater than themselves. He was tireless, moving from house to house, street to street, planting seeds of faith wherever he could. He knew that the journey was far from over, but his heart was at peace, knowing he had given everything he had to inspire change. Isaiah's final vision was one of unity. He saw nations coming together, people of all kinds holding hands, and hearts healing from past wounds. He saw hope restored in each city he had visited, from Moab to Damascus, and even in the mighty Babylon. Isaiah knew that one day his words would reach the hearts of people, guiding them toward a better world, a world of love, compassion, and faith. Isaiah then traveled to the northern kingdom of Tyre, a coastal city renowned for its wealth and its vast ships that sailed across the seas. Tyre was a bustling center of trade, its people proud of their riches and their influence. But as Isaiah walked through the busy streets, he saw a deeper problem beneath the surface. The people were obsessed with wealth, their hearts hardened by greed, and they had begun to look down on those less fortunate. Isaiah gathered some of the merchants and ship captains and said, "People of Tyre, your riches are like a mighty tide, but if you let greed rule your hearts, that tide will turn against you. Wealth is a gift meant to be shared, not worshipped. Help those in need, and your city will truly prosper." Some merchants laughed at Isaiah, dismissing his words, while others looked uncertain, seeing the truth in his warning. Isaiah knew his words had unsettled them, like a stone tossed into a still pond, causing ripples that would grow. Isaiah's journey took him onward, to the land of Kedar, a place of vast deserts and strong, resilient people who survived in the harshest conditions. The people of Kedar were tough, but over time, their hearts had grown cold and suspicious. They trusted no one outside their land, fearing betrayal. Isaiah knew they needed a message of unity and trust to melt the ice around their hearts. Gathering the elders of Kedar around a campfire, Isaiah spoke with warmth and compassion. "Kedar, the desert has made you strong, but do not let it harden your hearts. True strength is found in kindness and trust. Open your hearts, and you will find new friends, new hope, and new life." The elders were silent, listening intently. A few nodded slowly, understanding his words, while others remained wary. Isaiah left Kedar hopeful, knowing that his words had planted seeds that, in time, might bloom in their hearts. As Isaiah continued his journey, he came upon the Valley of Hinnom, a land that had fallen into darkness. The people there had turned to false gods, seeking power and pleasure, without care for what was right. Isaiah felt sorrow as he saw how far they had strayed, but he was determined to bring them back to the light. Isaiah gathered the people of Hinnom, standing before them with a fierce yet loving gaze. "People of Hinnom, you have wandered from the path of truth. You have looked for light in places filled with shadows. Turn back now, and you will find peace that no false god can offer." Some laughed mockingly, their hearts closed off, while a few young people looked at Isaiah with curiosity and awe. They could sense that his words carried a wisdom they had not heard before. Isaiah hoped that these young hearts would carry his message forward, even if their elders would not. Isaiah's next stop was Bashan, a land known for its powerful warriors and fertile lands. The people of Bashan were proud, not only of their strength, but of their land's bounty. However, Isaiah sensed an arrogance there, a belief that they were above others because of their blessings. He knew that pride could lead even the strongest to fall. Speaking to the leaders of Bashan, Isaiah said, "Strength and prosperity are gifts, not reasons for pride. Share your blessings, for if you hold them too tightly, they may slip through your fingers." The leaders looked at him with suspicion, not wanting to hear words that challenged their power. But Isaiah stood firm, planting the seeds of humility in their minds, hoping that someday they would see the wisdom in his words. Isaiah's journey finally brought him to the mountain of Zion, where he climbed to the peak to pray for all he had seen. He prayed for the proud city of Tyre, the hardened people of Kedar, the lost souls of Hinnom, and the powerful yet prideful people of Bashan. He prayed for each city, each land, each heart, asking for forgiveness, strength, and a return to the light. As Isaiah stood on the mountaintop, he felt a vision unfolding before him, a beautiful and hopeful sight. He saw all the lands he had visited filled with light, the people coming together, hands held in unity, hearts open to one another. The darkness that had once clouded their souls was lifted, replaced by a brightness that could only come from true peace and understanding. Isaiah's heart swelled with hope, knowing that even if his message would take time to reach each heart fully, the seeds had been planted. The world was changing little by little, and Isaiah's journey was a part of that change. With one last prayer, he left the mountain, his heart filled with peace, knowing he had given all he could to bring light and hope to a weary world. Isaiah traveled next to Moab, a land filled with rolling hills, rivers, and cities built on rocky cliffs. The people of Moab were proud of their heritage and viewed themselves as self-sufficient, untouched by the struggles around them. Isaiah noticed that while Moab's people were generous among themselves, they looked down on outsiders, unwilling to share their blessings beyond their borders. Isaiah knew he had to stir compassion in their hearts. Standing in the bustling market square, Isaiah addressed the people, saying, "Moab, your rivers are plentiful, your hills rich in harvest. But remember, blessings are not for hoarding. Extend your hand to those in need, and your heart will be richer than all the wealth you see around you." Many of the people turned away, uninterested, but a small group gathered closer, their curiosity sparked by Isaiah's words. A young girl approached him shyly and whispered, "Will the river run dry if we give to others?" Isaiah smiled warmly and replied, "No, child. Love and kindness make our rivers flow even stronger." Leaving Moab, Isaiah journeyed south to the plains of Edom. Edom was a land known for its fierce fighters and unyielding spirit. But over time, the people had become hardened, their hearts wrapped in bitterness from old grudges and rivalries with neighboring lands. Isaiah could feel the weight of resentment hanging over the land, like a cloud that had darkened their days and their souls. Gathering the elders of Edom around a fire, Isaiah said, "Edom, your strength has become your prison. You hold on to anger as if it were treasure, but it will only turn to dust in your hands. Let go of these grudges, and you will find a new strength, one that does not burden your heart." Some of the elders scoffed, proud of their harsh reputations, but one elder, his face lined with years of battle and struggle, sat quietly, nodding. Isaiah could see the spark of understanding there, like a single flame in a dark room, ready to grow if only given the chance. Isaiah's next stop was the kingdom of Damascus. Damascus was a vibrant city, alive with music, color, and laughter, but Isaiah sensed an emptiness hidden beneath the surface. The people of Damascus had grown complacent, focused on fleeting pleasures while neglecting the deeper needs of the soul. They had forgotten the values that once gave their lives meaning. Standing in the city square, Isaiah spoke to the people of Damascus, saying, "Damascus, you fill your days with joy, yet your hearts are empty. Remember that true happiness cannot be bought or found in temporary pleasures. Look inward, and you will find a joy that cannot be shaken." Some people laughed, dismissing his words as the musings of a wandering prophet. But others listened thoughtfully, realizing the truth in his message. Among them, a young musician felt stirred, his heart resonating with Isaiah's words. He resolved to change his songs to carry messages of hope and wisdom, hoping to inspire others. Isaiah journeyed on, coming to the kingdom of Philistia, a land of warriors who prided themselves on their resilience and cunning. The people of Philistia had faced many battles and had become wary of outsiders, believing they could trust no one. Isaiah saw that their suspicion had made them isolated, and though they were strong, they were deeply lonely. Isaiah stood before a gathering of Philistine warriors and said, "Philistia, your walls are strong, your warriors brave, but a heart closed off from trust is like a fortress without light. Let go of fear, and you will find that others can be your strength, not your enemy." The warriors muttered amongst themselves, some looking doubtful, others curious. An old warrior stepped forward, nodding in agreement, saying, "Perhaps we have grown too guarded. We once trusted our neighbors. Maybe it is time to rebuild those bonds." Isaiah felt hope as he watched the seeds of trust begin to take root. Isaiah's journey next took him to the city of Egypt. Egypt was a land of grand pyramids, temples, and wisdom passed down for generations. Yet, Isaiah saw that pride in their knowledge had led the people to believe they had no need for guidance or change. They had become stubborn, unwilling to listen to anyone beyond their own borders. Isaiah addressed a gathering of scholars and priests, saying, "Egypt, wisdom is a gift, but if you stop seeking, you will lose your way. The greatest wisdom is knowing there is always more to learn. Humble your hearts, and you will grow even wiser." Some scholars scorned his words, dismissing him as an outsider with little understanding of their ways. But one young student stayed behind, inspired by Isaiah's humility and wisdom, vowing to carry his message forward and remind Egypt of the power of listening. Isaiah finally arrived at the Valley of Megiddo, a place known for its battles and losses. Here, he prayed over the land, asking for healing for the countless lives lost. He could feel the weight of sorrow and regret that lingered in the valley, and he knew that peace would only come if people could learn to let go of the past. Kneeling on the ground, Isaiah raised his hands and prayed, "Let this valley be a place of healing, a reminder of peace, not of war. May the hearts of those who remember find comfort, and may their pain be transformed into hope for a future without bloodshed." The wind seemed to carry his words, and the silence that followed felt sacred, like a promise that peace could indeed be found. As Isaiah made his way home, his heart felt both heavy and light, heavy with the weight of all he had seen, yet lightened by the hope that his words had planted seeds of change. He knew that not all would heed his call, but he felt peace knowing he had given everything to guide them back to the light. Isaiah traveled onward, arriving at a dense, quiet forest. This place was called the Whispering Woods, and it was rumored that the trees held the memories of those who had passed away there. The people of a nearby village would often venture to the woods seeking answers from the voices of the past, but instead of feeling comforted, they returned fearful and sorrowful, burdened by the weight of old mistakes. Isaiah entered the forest alone, feeling the whispers around him. He spoke aloud, "These voices are memories of regret, fear, and missed chances. They remind us not to live in the past, but to learn and move forward." In that moment, he knelt down and whispered a prayer for peace, asking that those who entered the forest find closure instead of sorrow. A stillness fell over the woods, and the whispers softened, as if finding rest at last. Leaving the forest, Isaiah traveled to a seaside village named Zarephath. The people of Zarephath had faced famine and hardship, and while they once had hearts full of kindness, their struggles had left them bitter and distrustful. They refused to share their meager resources, clinging to the little they had left. Isaiah approached a group of villagers and said, "Zarephath, you believe you must hoard what little you have, but generosity will bring abundance. Trust that kindness will return to you in ways you cannot yet see." Skeptical but curious, a widow with only a handful of flour and oil in her home offered him a small piece of bread. Isaiah blessed her kindness, and the next day, the villagers were astonished to see that her jar of oil and flour had miraculously been replenished. Slowly, the people of Zarephath began to share, realizing that by opening their hearts, they would be sustained. Isaiah next found himself in the land of Tyre, a coastal kingdom of merchants and traders. Tyre was a bustling hub of activity, filled with wealth and luxury, yet Isaiah noticed a hollow emptiness in the lives of its people. They chased after riches, but true fulfillment was missing. Standing in the crowded marketplace, Isaiah said to the traders, "Tyre, you have gained the world but lost your peace. True wealth is not found in gold, but in a heart content with what it has." Some merchants scoffed, but a young trader, new to the world of wealth, felt moved by Isaiah's words. He realized that he had become a stranger to his own family in his pursuit of success and vowed to return to them, valuing their love above all else. Isaiah then journeyed through a mountainous region until he reached the isolated city of Sidon. The people of Sidon had built high walls to protect themselves, fearing attacks from neighboring lands. But their fear had also made them close-hearted, unwilling to welcome anyone from outside their walls. Isaiah spoke to the city leaders, saying, Sidon, fear has become your prison. High walls protect, but they also isolate. Trust that love and kindness are the strongest defenses of all. His words struck a chord with a guard who had grown tired of his isolated life. The guard began to tell stories of compassion and courage to his fellow citizens, and slowly, the walls of Sidon became more welcoming to strangers. Isaiah's journey finally brought him to the Valley of Shadows, a place where people came when they had lost all hope. Isaiah felt the sorrow of those who had wandered there, feeling abandoned and without purpose. Kneeling in the valley, Isaiah cried out, "For all who feel alone, know that there is always hope. Even in the darkest places, light can be found if you seek it with an open heart." As he prayed, the clouds seemed to part above the valley, and sunlight streamed down, casting warmth and light on the land. Those who had once been lost began to make their way out, feeling a newfound strength to face their lives. For the final scene, Isaiah returns to Jerusalem, his heart heavy yet hopeful after the lessons and visions he has shared. The city is bustling, but many people are still weighed down by fear, pride, and the desire for control over others. Isaiah stands at the city gate, looking over the people, his voice steady and clear. He speaks with great compassion, "People of Jerusalem, each of us has the power to change. Each of us can find light, even in our darkest moments. Love, hope, and kindness are more powerful than any fear or pride. Let us turn to the one who created us, for only then will we find true peace and strength." The crowd grows silent, listening closely to his every word, feeling a gentle stirring in their hearts. Isaiah raises his hands to the heavens, his face full of hope and humility, and begins a powerful, heartfelt prayer. "Great and loving God, we come before you with open hearts. We ask for your guidance, for the wisdom to walk in your ways, and the courage to follow your truth. Please fill our hearts with love that never fades, hope that never dies, and a strength that rises even in our weakest moments. Help us to forgive, to trust, and to always seek you in all that we do. May your light shine in every dark place, bringing peace and healing. Remind us that we are never alone and that your love is greater than all fear. Bless each of us here and those who are far, and lead us to be instruments of your grace. In your holy name we pray. Amen." The people bow their heads, and many feel a deep sense of peace and purpose they haven't felt before. As Isaiah departs, the memory of his words remains, like a spark ready to ignite their lives with hope, faith, and love.